My infernal blessings. We are back with another video. Alright, before we begin, some quick announcements. Let me run through them. Excuse me. Again, if you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different types of readings, Clepothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, deity readings to see what spirits, gods, goddesses that walk with you, which is a great reading to do, not to worship those deities or spirits, but to establish a stronger connection with those spirits and to learn more about yourself, to help you understand yourself, which is very critical and which is very key. Shadow work readings, as I said, shadow work readings always, shadow work is continual, it's never ending, because shadow work is about working on yourself, right? Uncovering the shadow or the hidden aspects of yourself so you can, turn your weaknesses into strengths, and really work on those things that could be creating psychological, mental, emotional, and spiritual blockages. So a shadow work reading is always great. Also good for using to point you in the correct direction. One of the top emails I get constantly is, what kind of work should I be doing ritualistically, this, that, and the other? Well, shadow work reading will definitely bring to the surface things that need to be addressed. And as I've said before, ritual work should always be designed first based on your needs, and the wants should be second. All right. Or maybe you just want a spiritual consultation. As I said, a spiritual consultation. Some people just literally come into that hour-long session with a list of questions. They kind of use it as a one-on-one question and answer session to ask whatever it is they want to ask. Or it can be used to focus on something specific or a certain situation or scenario that you got going on in your life. All right, for any of the aforementioned, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. That's khnum19@gmail.com. Please include your full weekly availability and the day and the time zone that you are in, and I will be able to find something that fits your schedule and my schedule. Okay, very important. Don't forget to also check us out on all our social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram. Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook. I also upload all the new YouTube content to the Facebook page. And then check me out also on TikTok, Primordial Chaos 3 on TikTok. These are the best platforms to keep abreast of whatever classes, events, or functions we got going on. That's the best way to do it. All right. Also mark your calendars down. October 2024, 3rd or 4th week in October, to be determined. The 7th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. Believe it or not, time is flying. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this video. Time is flying. We're already in April, approaching May, the 5th month of the year. Technically, when you look at it, almost half of the year has flown by. Is time speeding up? We're going to talk about it in a minute. Okay? Almost half of the year is gone. It felt like we just did that end of the year class. To me, that felt like a few weeks ago. But time is flying. But anyway, more to come on that as we get later in the year. But it's there. We're almost at the midpoint of the year. Believe it or not. We'll be doing the conference again before you know it. And then it'll be the holidays all over again. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Also, if you want to sign up for classes, the best way to sign up, and the only way, the way to do it, sign up for classes, go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. That's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. As of the recording of this video, April 25th, I'm en route back to the house to get ready to do tonight's Patreon class. Go to that page. Tier 3 is what you want to sign up for. Tier 3 gives you access to all the classes I do every month on Patreon, and it also gives you access to the group ritual we do together at the end of the month. And keep in mind, when you do join, you don't just get access from the day you join moving forward. You get access to 4+ years and counting worth of content. And you also get access to that ritual work, all the class work, As I've said before, there's enough to keep you busy on there for years, and that's not even a slight exaggeration. There's so much work and content on there. If you want to learn about the occult, you want to learn about the left-hand path, and you're looking for, classes and work, hands-on work I can do, that's the page for you. Trust me, you'll be busy. And I don't say that out of arrogance. I say it out of confidence, and I also stand behind. Nobody is offering what I'm offering for the price. There's nobody out there. And I know people say, hey, Baniti, you could charge double and triple. I get it, I could. Believe me, I could, but that's not what my intent is. That's not what my aim is. Okay? As I said before, I don't just do this for a living. It's not my main source of revenue. But I know I could. I know I could be charging double and triple. So for the price that I'm offering and what you're getting on a monthly basis, never even email me or question me or ever bitch and complain about the price. I'll laugh at you. Because you show me one person that's doing and offering what I'm offering for the price I'm offering it. And I'm doing that so people have an outlet, because we don't have a large source or avenues where we can go in the occult like a lot of mainstream paths do. So I want to offer something where everybody has access that really, and it's designed for those that really want to learn about path of self-mastery and the occult. Okay? Also, if you want to see what kind of classes I offer, go to that Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti. Go to the collection section, and you can see all of the ongoing classes with constantly new content being added monthly. When you join, the classes are done live via Zoom. If you can attend live, you get the private Zoom link. Don't worry if you can't. As I said, everything is recorded and archived. You can take classes that you can't get there live and take them in your own time. But if you can get there live, it's nice because you can interact with me and other people in the room. All right? Also, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. You can get all this new content in MP3 and audio format. If you want to just kind of listen to it while you're exercising, taking a walk, driving, just hanging around the house, whatever it is you're doing, you can now have access to getting all this information in MP3 audio format. All right, or MP4. I think it's both. You can do it. All right. Other than that, the direct link to the podcast, the direct link to all the social media pages, my contact email address for readings or consultations, or any other questions you may have, and also the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of that's in the description box of this video that you're watching right now. All right, you see the title of the video. You see what we're going to talk about here. Is time speeding up? Time is changing. Things are changing. There's a quickening going on. I'm sure some of you have noticed it. This has been going on for a few years now. I alluded to, as I was going through the announcements, is time speeding up? Well, it sure feels like it, and there's a reason for it. Okay? Let's factor a couple of things in mind. As the recording of this video, April 25th, 2024, we're approaching the end portion of the spring season, right? I believe it's around the 21st of May is when officially the summer season or summer equinox kicks in. And I bring that up because, as you know, our cycle and how we work spiritually, because we work with cyclical or cycle time. We have a specific, if you've now been working with me over the years or dealing with me or taking classes, you see probably the method to my madness now. You see how I work in accordance with our spiritual cycle, not other bullshit that's out there, right? Our cycle basically goes from the spring equinox, which technically is our new year, because it's when we emerge from out of stasis or darkness. We come out of the season of what they call winter, which is darkness, and stasis. We know it's a deep time for internal growth. So when you approach the darkness from fall going into winter, you're preparing the spirit, the mind, the body, and the soul to go inwardly to do that deep intent work that you need to do to better and master yourself. I told you that's why we shut down in the month of December through that holiday season, because it's a very volatile season energy-wise on that note in your mundane world, because everything that's going on at that time. but it's a very high spiritual time for those who know the science of one must go into the dark to do the work of the light. We emerge in the spring as a regenerated, renewed spiritual being, and now the powerful energy of the solar or the sun as we approach now what they call the summer solstice, right? So we're dealing with the power of sun and soul or solar energy now. And the sun is what produces and gives life, right? I've always said the summertime is a very powerful time because of the energy. It can be very draining, especially if you're doing a lot of intense ritual work. I know it's a very powerful but yet draining time of the year for me. I love the season of darkness, or what they call winter. My algorithms and my spiritual vibe is so in tune with that. Summer is my what they call my grind months, right? Because I know summer, you've got to know how to assimilate all this energy that's out there. The power of the sun, the summer equinox, all of those things, and how you tap in and how it affects you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and physically to a degree. Okay, so now that we've emerged, now we're going into what I like to call the cycle of power. And in reference to cycles in time, if you've been because I hear a lot of people saying this on different platforms and just hearing it in different circles, doesn't it feel like time's going flying by? It does to those who are locked into their spiritual path, 100%. This is why, like I just said I literally feel like that the holidays and then that end of the year class we did early January, first week in January, end of December, kind of right at that very cusp. I felt like that was just a few weeks ago, literally, no exaggeration. And 5 months have shot by since then already. It just doesn't feel like it. So time is speeding up, or the illusion, I should say, of time is speeding up for those who are really locked in and grounded and rooted in their true spiritual power. It definitely feels like it's flying by. It definitely feels like shit is speeding up and going at a rapid pace. But the reality is you're just locked into the moment of the now, where time becomes irrelevant, or what they're calling linear time becomes irrelevant. Okay? So everything starts to feel like one constant moment, creating that feeling like everything is speeding up. So now I hope you're grasping what I've been saying for years. The only thing that is real is the now. And as practitioners of the occult, the left-hand path, the path of self-mastery, we're big on focusing on the present moment and the now. Okay? What we are perceiving as past or future really is all part of, again, as I said, of that continuous present moment, the now. It's just we've been programmed via linear time. We think, oh, I look at myself. I was physically born, I was a small infant or a child. That was so long ago, and now, whatever age you are, I've evolved into a full-grown human being. Isn't there things that separate that continuous moment? Isn't that different stages? And the answer to that question is yes and no. What it appears to be and look like and how you perceive it on the level is separate stages, but it's really not. It's all. What if I told you existence as a whole, creation as a whole, is all one continuous moment, the now? You'd probably scratch your head and go, what the fuck are you talking about, Baniti? Well, I can't explain something like that to somebody who doesn't have the ability to grasp it. So I'm putting it out there. Think about that. Meditate on that. Marinate on that for a minute. What if, it's going to sound even crazier. What if when you were in the stages of growing, what if the state, let's just say you're 45 years old. What if I were to tell you that first recollection that you have, or regardless of how young you were, a small child, or what if I told you the stages from infancy to 45 years old was one continuous moment? Would you think I was crazy? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Some of you would. Those that are under that indoctrination of illusion, and those who believe or are easy to fall for a lot of these systems of indoctrination, you probably would think I'm crazy. Those that know. You're probably like, I'm following you, Baniti. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's the science to ritualizing your entire life, to understanding the science that everything is now in the now, the present moment. That's what I've meant for years when I've said you got to learn to ritualize your entire life. And you have to learn to fuel your intent of what it is you're trying to accomplish. Put that intent out there 24/7. There's a science to that. Okay, that's the whole science when you hear people say over the years in these other systems how you open the universe up to you. And the universe, you get the universe to work in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish. Okay? A lot of it starts with intent. Where your mind is, what you're focused on, and how you're approaching and utilizing that intent. That shit is so critical, I can't even stress enough. Okay? But time is definitely feeling like and creating the appearance that it is speeding up. And it hasn't really sped up or slowed down. It's still the one continuous moment, the now. It's just you feel like it's speeding up or moving at a rapid pace because you're no longer under the illusion of linear time. Linear time keeps you in the box because they use their methodologies and calendars like the Gregorian calendar, etc. And their methodologies, how they used to calculate time, is what keeps you in the box or under the spell of illusion. Okay? So when you start thinking outside that box and you start taking on or developing and creating your own path to self-mastery, that's when now time becomes completely an illusion. It's not real to you no more. So you've eliminated all the bullshit. So therefore it starts to create the feeling that, man, everything is going so fast and speeding up. Time's flying. No, it's just that you've eliminated a lot of the bullshit that you had going on in your life. You're not giving it the same attention. You're not approaching it the same way. You're not looking at it in the same perspective. So once the distractions are removed out of your path, you're locked in. So it feels like, man, shit, I felt like last week I did something. It felt like that was a week ago. And then you look back, you go, damn, that was 3-4 months ago, or 5 months ago, or 6 months, whatever. So it's a sign of the times. That's what it is. Time is speeding up because it's a sign of the times. What's the sign of the times? The now. You're locked into the now, the very present moment in your life, meaning you've opened that gateway and that door where it's now about you and everything is now evolving around you as opposed to you trying to catch up. It's going to sound crazy, to the real you. See, when you're not locked in, you're chasing, it's like chasing a phantom or a shadow when you're not locked in. You know it's there. You know you need to bring it out, but you got to see it first before you can actually obtain it. And sometimes that first step is the most difficult step. Some never see it. Because some take a life of being a follower for the rest of their life. They're okay with being in systems of servitude. So what I'm saying is when you awake on all levels spiritually, you're out of the matrix now. Right? You're not locked into their matrix, how they calculate time, how they want you to perceive things, how you're supposed to feel about this and that, how you should feel happy about this, sad about that, how they can suggest everything to you from the shows you watch on TV, to the music you listen to the food you eat and how you dress. Okay? See, when they can dictate all those things, you belong to them or they. And again, I have to make it clear to newer listeners. Anytime you hear me say them or they, you might be going, well, who are you referring to? Who's the them or they? That's just a terminology I use to describe the powers that be that have an agenda. Your big corporate bigwigs, all of your big commercial retailers who feed off of power, right? All those who have an agenda that know if they can rule the mentally weak, they can continue to become stronger financially, mentally, on all those levels. So that's what I mean. I see the powers that be, they, them, those who are trying to manipulate and control everything. And then you might say, isn't that a form of magic? It is. It doesn't mean that it's a productive magic when it applies to you, especially if it affects you in an adverse way, which is not in alignment with what your path and you're trying to accomplish. And I told you this. The powers that be have been working magic for years. They understand the world of the occult, the ritualistic world. You don't think they're doing spiritual work to stay in power and to obtain their power? You're fucking stupid if you don't think so. Okay? So, this time speeding up, this quickening, it's happening for a reason. Now, there's some people who are completely the opposite of that. These are the people that are mentally dead. They don't really see it. They don't really sense it. Sometimes it's the opposite when things are going so bad for you and things are not well at all in any facet of your life. The reverse usually kicks in. It feels like, man, days are longer, time goes by slower, the months seem to creep, and it feels to that individual like a year going by feels like it's forever, an eternity. Okay? That's because it's going to feel like that to the person that is mentally dead, that is not awake on any level. Okay? So there's the opposite to that of what I was just talking about. Okay? The reason why you feel like it's flying by, for those that do, is because you're locked in. You hit that point where now you are spiritually vibing with everything around you, as opposed to you trying to catch up to the real you, looking in from the outside, like being on that outer circle, right? Looking on that outside. And it's just not, a productive situation to be in. So this is why it's important. So let me leave you with these few things. This is why it's important in this season of power, the cycle of the sun, regeneration and renewal, the quickening, the great quickening, right? And look at this, it's beautiful. As I'm coming up over this bridge, by chance, I wish I could take a picture of this, but I don't want to turn the camera around. Man, you can see the sun in its glory, so-called setting to the east. It's a beautiful sight, and I'm driving right into that. I'm sorry, the west, not the east. I'm driving west directly into it. It's a beautiful sight, right? That sun was a great source and is a great source of power. And as I said before, that's why in ancient Egypt it's not that the ancient Egyptians or any cultures worshiped the sun. It's that they acknowledged the sun as the greatest form of life. It represented life. And without that sun, life would cease to exist. Okay? Let me see if I can turn it around at this light just to give you guys a little look. See if I can turn it around. Maybe I can do it right here. It's pretty cool. There we go. You see it up there? I'm sure you can see it. I can see it. Look at that. Clear sky in the west. Sun directly on me. Feeling the power of it. Okay? I'm not going to spook out like the solar eclipse. But that's just a nice view. Clear sun, clear power of the illuminating energy of the sun. I'm not trying to sound like no cornball fluffinator, but I have always acknowledged the greatness of the sun. Like I say, sometimes a beautiful thing. I'll leave the camera on this way for the last few minutes so you guys can kind of see what's in front and the roads. I know some people shoot videos like that just with it on the road. I might do something like that. I don't know. But that right there is always a reminder of the magnificence and the splendor of what we call creation. Okay? Again, as I always look around in certain areas, I don't take anything for granted, boy. When you see the water, when you see the trees, the sand, the beauty of this, and you can reflect that beauty of that and connect it with inside of you, that's a powerful thing. And people think we don't deal with stuff like that on the occult and the left-hand path. We do. We sure do. Okay? We deal with that stuff, people. It's just we deal with it more on a level of self-mastery as opposed to on a level of worship and servitude. Okay? When you see Akhenaten with his hands raised to the sun, right? Which is a very famous image that you see on in the temples and the pyramids of ancient Egypt and the ancient Egyptian carvings. It's not that he's worshiping the sun. See, people get that fucked up. He's not worshiping the sun. Look at this one. What's going on there is he's acknowledging the life and the source of life that the sun provides. Okay? For those that don't know or ignorant, especially religious folks that go, oh, the ancient Egyptians, they were pagans and they worshipped the sun. No, they didn't. They acknowledged the sun as a symbol of a great representation of life. Don't get it twisted, man. Don't let people fool you. These are people that don't know what they're talking about. And that's what that represents to us. And it's connected on an esoterical occult level. When we talked about it on and off over the years, we went in real deep in the dark witchcraft and sorcery class the other night on the sun. I'm not going to get into all that here. When I say we went in. Talking about certain things in relation. Look at that. See that? It's a beautiful sight. Right? Some people, sun bothers them. Some of us, we know what that represents. One thing we like to do down here sometimes is when we do our drummings, like right now, and now that spring and summer are here and it gets darker according to the, clock, we usually start our drummings right around this time. And there's a reason for it. And I've explained this a couple times over the year. It's the symbolicism. We all know about the triad of Ra or Re. Okay? We all know Atun with an N, and Amun. Right? But there's an aspect of that triad which makes up the four, which is the quadidity, which represents going outside or beyond person, place, or thing. And that fourth aspect of when it goes from a triad to a quadidity or to a quasi-four is Akhnun Re, which is the hidden aspect of this. Well, I want to say the hidden, because Amun or Anun, when you get into the other aspect, there's a hidden aspect of Ra or Re, the sun. This is the invisible aspect of the sun. What am I talking about? As I said before, and why we always start our drummings and rituals at this point, because there's such power in it. As I've said before, when we see right now, as I'm driving, you see where the sun is getting ready to create or appear to create the illusion that it's getting to set. We know the sun doesn't technically, scientifically rise or set. We know the earth evolves on its axis on a wobble or a tilt, creating the illusion that it's rising or setting. So as we go into what appears to be dark hours in this time zone or this side of the planet, it now becomes day hours on certain other geographical locations of the planet. So the sun is always there. It's in the sky. It never goes anywhere. It just creates the illusion that it's setting and rising. So there's a science of Akhnun Re, which the moment that the sun appears to rise or set, which happens in the blink of an eye, that you can't really see that when it actually happens, the exact moment, that's when things transcend or evolve outside of what we call person, place, or thing. It's going from the three-dimensional, the three, to the four. It represents things on the fourth or the mental plane. Things vibrating outside of person, place, or thing. That's why I talk about that all the time. And that's truly, there's a sacred science to that in dealing with the sun that most people, there's occult work on that. And most people don't have that science. They don't know how that applies to themselves. Okay? Now apply what I just said to yourself. I'm not going to break it down or go through it. Just think about what I just said. So the ancient Egyptians recognized, and those that are on the occult recognize spiritual mysticism. Look at that. Of what that represents. Okay? And I wasn't even going to really talk about anything in relation to the sun in this video. But driving into this in this direction has inspired me. Spirits, the energy. I feel that spirit of Ra or Re just running through the bloodline right now. So it said, acknowledge my greatness. And that's what I'm doing. I'm acknowledging the greatness of what that represents. Not worshiping it, because we don't do that shit, but acknowledging the greatness of it. Right? That's called an appreciation for life. Right? This is what makes what we do different than what others do. Okay? So I know I kind of was bouncing from a few things in this video. I don't want to get too off. I will more than likely next week get back to doing the lives where I can lock in with you guys for a decent amount of time. You know, these videos are for short tutorials, and this one's becoming a little longer than normal. So I kind of wanted to just talk about that. If you feel like time, this is a sign of the times. Cycles, changes, the power of the sun. That might be the title of this video. I might change it. Sign of the times. This is where we're at, people. The great quickening, if you want to call it. For those that are tapped in, feeling it and experiencing it, yes, you're experiencing it for a reason. For those of you that watch this that you don't even know what I'm talking about, and yeah, it's not for you, then you're right where you need to be too, unfortunately. That's probably not a good thing, but you're where you need to be too. All right? That's going to probably, well, I might cut around here. You might get your last view of the sun. I know this road curves a little bit around here, so you might get that last view. Maybe I'll just coast through as I wrap this video up. I'm about to get to my destination. You motherfuckers don't need to see where I live. We don't need no cycles copying the location. Let me stop. But now I'm about to wrap this up. Hopefully this short tutorial helped you. Like I said, be patient with me. This will be my last weekend of heavy travel. I have to head to Chicago, back to Chicago tomorrow night. And then after that, get back this weekend. I'll be back to normal. Just be patient with me. Some motherfuckers get a little bit impatient. Just be patient. I'll be back on track. And I'll get back to that regular routine. I know some of you reached out to me. Trying to sign up for classes or had questions. It's just been rough for me to get to all my emails. There we go. There's that last peak. Let's get that last peak. Look at that. I don't know if you guys saw it over the tree. Let's get ready to so-called set. Satuk, set. Notice how set, which after the sun set, it goes into darkness, is phonetically aligned with set. Not a coincidence. And there's a power of the connection of the sun also to set. The deity set, right? It's a whole other science. Anyway, all right, I'm going to leave it there for that. That's going to wrap this up. Again, if you guys need to reach out to me for classes, to me for spiritual readings or consultations, just keep in mind, again, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, my contact email address, the direct link to all the social media pages, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page for those classes. All the contact information for any of the aforementioned is in the description box of this video you're watching right now. I want to thank you guys for your time. We will talk soon. Infernal blessings.